Okay, welcome everyone to this release webinar for SquaredUp 5.0. I'm Richard Benwell. I'm joined today by John Knowles, who'll be taking us through the product and all the new features in detail. We are broadcasting live. I know you're probably used to seeing a lot of pre-recorded webinars during 2020. We do like to broadcast live here at SquaredUp, so all of the speaking and the slides will be live, as will the product demos. So wish John well as he takes us through the demos. But we are broadcasting live, so the upside to that is that we can take your Q&A live on the broadcast. So if you are joining us live and not watching this on YouTube, please do throw questions into the Q&A. Please do tell us what you think of the new features that we have to show you today. As well as John and I on the call today, we also have a few of our engineers from SquaredUp. So this is a great opportunity to just ask a few questions and get those answers now live while we're on the broadcast. With that, let's have a quick look at what we'll be talking about today. I'll be actually starting off just with a look at the SquaredUp roadmap, both where we've been in the last year or so, what we have today with SquaredUp 5.0, and of course, what's coming up in 2021. After that, John will take us through feature by feature, all the new good stuff in 5.0. Followed by then a live demo, as I say, hopefully showing you every single feature in all of its glory. We'll finish up with some advice just on when 5.0 is available, how to upgrade, and some licensing changes that are coming with this version. And then at the end, we'll finish up with a full Q&A. So please do ask questions as we go along. We'll try and either cover them off during the live webinar or just pick them up at the end. So with that in mind, let's get going with a look at the roadmap. So first of all, we like to just look back at where we've been and just sort of set the context for SquaredUp 5.0. So starting back in 4.0 there in 2018, that's when we introduced enterprise application monitoring and all those great features that came with that. And of course, this time last year, pretty much back in 2019, we released SquaredUp for Azure. So everything we are talking about today is available in SquaredUp for SCOM and SquaredUp for Azure, and John will talk about that in a little bit more when he gets into the detail. Now, of course, we've all had a difficult 2020. I'm sure work has been busy and personal lives have been disrupted. So hopefully this is a good way to finish 2020, and we'll be going into 2021 with a lot more hope that it'll be a better year all round. Despite it being a very difficult year for us here at SquaredUp as well, of course, we've all been working remotely. The engineering team have done a fantastic job, and I kind of wanted to say sort of thank you up front to the engineering team and the results they've delivered this year. As you can see just from our historical roadmap there, this will be the 5th release. We've had 4 releases already just this year. This will be the 5th release coming out of SquaredUp. So it's been a fantastic 2020. So thank you to the engineering team for keeping the momentum going. And the good news is that going into 2021, we have even more coming. So this is really just a sort of taste of things to come and how quickly we're starting to deliver new features to you all from SquaredUp. So that's historically, of course. Today we're talking about SquaredUp 5.0, launching in December 2020. John's going to be taking you through this, but essentially it's quite a revamp of a number of different key features. So we have a brand new look and feel. We've revamped open access, one of our most popular features in the product. The dashboard designers had a bit of an overhaul, so you'll sort of find that a lot easier to use. And really importantly, we've introduced visualizations for your external data via Web API, which will be a sign of some of the things to come in 2021. So I'm not going to preempt John sort of talking through each one of those in detail, but just wanted to give you a taste of what we'll be talking about today and some of the kind of context of where we've been over the last year or so. So just looking sort of forward, both with V5 and beyond, I'm sure a lot of us are getting to the end of the year, and both in our sort of personal lives and at work, really considering what we're doing in 2021. So I wanted to give you a glimpse of really what SquaredUp are going to be doing over the next year and what we can do for you. I was on a Gartner sort of conference recently where if you can ask Gartner about the cloud, this is what they say. Their estimate is that 30% of enterprise IT spending will be on cloud and outsourcing, so sort of everything sort of external to your business by 2023. And of course, we hear about the cloud a lot. Really, that is still the major trend as we sort of see a shift towards more workloads heading towards the cloud. But actually, Gartner themselves point out that although that 30% is growing very quickly, that does mean that we have 70% of enterprise IT spending will still be on-prem and won't be on the cloud and spent on outsourcing by 2023. And of course, that's huge. So although there's a lot of buzz around the cloud still and a lot of trends towards working out a cloud migration strategy, really the vast majority of spending and workloads are still running on-prem. So going into sort of 2021, I'm sure you're looking at what your strategy is with regards to the cloud, but also looking at what your strategy is with regards to monitoring and management, both sort of on-prem and the cloud. And as I say, SquaredUp 5.0 is now essentially a sort of a single platform for two different products, both for SCOM and Azure. And on both of the cloud and on-prem fronts, hopefully SquaredUp will be key to your strategy going forward. Of course, on-prem, really, SCOM still remains the best of breed monitoring tool for your servers and infrastructure. I think sort of often that's overlooked now with perhaps looking at your future monitoring strategy. SCOM really still remains the best tool you can find for that 70% for all of those servers and your infrastructure on-prem. And of course, SquaredUp and SquaredUp v5 in particular is there to modernize SCOM and help you deliver proactive service monitoring from your existing investment in SCOM. So hopefully when you're looking at your strategy going into 2021 around monitoring, SCOM is still an absolute mainstay for your infrastructure piece. Looking at the cloud, of course, SquaredUp now also have something to say about this. The biggest pain point we see with the adoption of the cloud, that 30%, is that 30% gets out of control. You start to adopt the cloud, you know the flexibility of it means that you can start to scale up in the cloud very quickly, and all the customers who are approaching us looking at SquaredUp really are looking for a way to rein in and understand the spending they have in Azure. And SquaredUp's been particularly successful there. And so you'll see with SquaredUp v5 as well, the ability to identify your overspends in Azure, really look at the costs versus the performance of your resources. So really give your business the insights it needs as it starts to adopt the cloud. Second there, again, as you're looking at your monitoring strategy going into 2021, SquaredUp unlocks the power of Azure Monitor. I think we've still got a lot more to hear about Azure Monitor and its capabilities that are really baked into the Azure platform, and SquaredUp really allows you to surface the information and the data that you can collect through Azure Monitor to the rest of your teams. So hopefully, as you're looking ahead at your strategies, SquaredUp and SCOM and Azure Monitor are going to be absolutely key for your monitoring going forward. So today, I think John is going to spend probably 70% of his demo time looking at on-prem, and we should have sort of 30% of demo time on the cloud as well, but certainly be looking at both of those elements. So that's with SquaredUp v5 and sort of very much thinking about your strategy across on-prem and cloud. Of course, we do recognize that SCOM and Azure Monitor are not the whole story when it comes to monitoring. So as we look ahead beyond SquaredUp v5, what we will be looking at is us doubling down on our mission to deliver a unified view for enterprise IT operations. And John's going to touch on some of the features in SquaredUp v5 today that really just give an indication of where we're heading, but there's plenty more to come. So we really want to be able to offer you a single tool where you can monitor applications end to end, where you can unify your cloud and on-prem in one single tool, manage that sprawl of tools that inevitably we end up with, and not necessarily for bad reasons. Each one of the tools you have is a best of breed tool, and to break down those silos that we so often find as our organization scales and as different teams use different tools to look at different elements of the applications and infrastructure. And lastly, of course, to bring that all into just one dashboard. That's the phrase that we hear again and again from our customers. So we do deliver that on top of SCOM, and John's going to talk about that a little bit more with our integrations to Web API and SQL. We do deliver on top of Azure, but what we're announcing today that is in 2021, we'll be bringing both SCOM and Azure together alongside your other platforms such as AWS, your APM tools, your ITSM tools, all together into a true single pane of glass. So we have a lot more to tell you about that. Look out for some announcements coming early next year as we reveal our sort of full roadmap on that journey. What I wanted to do today, just before we get into the details of v5, is to ask you to help us shape tomorrow by taking our single pane of glass survey today. So I have a link there, bit.ly /squap-survey. Do note that down. do that in the background, or we'll give that URL again at the end of the webinar. We really want to get your feedback on where we're going with everything we're doing at SquaredUp, and certainly on the single pane of glass journey that we'll be heading towards as we go into 2021. We have released that to some of our customers already and got some great feedback, so really look forward to more feedback coming from everyone who's on the webinar today. Okay, so hopefully that sets the scene of just where we've been, what SquaredUp v5 is really aiming to offer you today, and where we'll be heading as we go into 2021. So with that introduction, I will hand over to John. I think we've got a bit of a celebratory start to looking at SquaredUp 5.0. Obviously, it's been a tough 2020, but hopefully we can sit back for a moment and enjoy the show as John takes us through the features of v5.
Thank you, Richard. Yes, 2020 certainly has been anything but ordinary, but we're going to finish this year off strong and get ready for a head start in 2021 with SquaredUp version 5. Really excited to be sort of showcasing this release today and showing off everyone's hard work here at SquaredUp, and we hope you think it's exciting too. So a couple of months ago, we did send out another survey, which was predominantly finding out about how people were using SquaredUp when it comes to laying out dashboards and any other problems and things that they were sort of finding. And we've had over 60 customers actually contribute to version 5. The main sort of threads of what they were asking for was better and faster ways to design dashboards, more interactive sort of sharing experience for end users. So when you share something through open access, people want to be able to interact with that a bit more. And a fuller range of visualizations for web API tiles as well. So let's lift the covers off version 5. And this is a quick summary of everything that's in this release. So the good news is it's the same great product that you all know and love, but it's got an all new experience. We've had a major overhaul of our dashboard designer, and we've completely rewritten open access. And this is really touching at the sort of heart of SquaredUp and dashboarding within SquaredUp. The overhauled dashboard designer will give you better ways of making layouts of tiles. And open access is giving you that sort of more immersive, interactive experience. We've wrapped all of this up with a fresh new look and feel. So there's brighter colors, darker dark modes, and starting to bring in those first investments where we're doubling down on external integrations with these new web API visualizations. And of course, a few bug fixes along the way as we go. As Richard mentioned, everything we're going to talk about today is available in SquaredUp for SCOM and SquaredUp for Azure. So there is no difference in functionality. They both contain all of these great enhancements. So first up is the dashboard designer experience. Everyone told us that they wanted to make more sort of intricate layouts, and the only way they could achieve that in version 4 was by using the JSON editor. The JSON editor did take some time for people to learn. It's sort of a bit hard to do. So with version 5, we've improved how you can make those layouts. We've also provided some sort of intuitive templating as well. So out of the box, you can create some really good dashboards. And then open access, we've rewritten this from the ground up. No longer will open access be generating images, sort of static images behind the scenes. It's actually going to be providing you with a HTML5 sort of shared dashboard experience. The advantages of that are you're going to get better performance and scalability on your SquaredUp servers, but it also gives users that interactive experience that they're looking for. And all of this, as I said, is wrapped up in this sort of fresh look and feel. The colours are a lot more vibrant, and this is going to pull out the sort of key important pieces of information to make them really stand out on the dashboards. And we've got a darker dark mode as well, if dark mode could even get any darker. Better iconography, vibrant heat maps. It really does look like a modern product for the future. And finally, this is the first of our releases where we're going to start bringing in more external data sources. This is a sort of renewed investment for us to add more context into your infrastructure, because SCOM isn't the only tool that contains important information. So this is the first step in a series of developments where we're beefing up the web API tile with these extra visualizations. The extra visualizations, most notably, is line graphs for your time series data, but then we've got donuts, bar charts as well. So with the Web API tile, you'll be able to create a more unified dashboard experience covering all sorts of different use cases. Okay, so now onto the demo, the hard bit. So I have paid my penance to the demo gods today, and I'm going to look at 3 specific use cases. The first one, I'm going to take an existing dashboard and update the layout. So we're going to look at the knock wallboard and tweak the layout to improve its sort of look and feel. Then we're going to create a new dashboard from scratch. We've got an applications team. They've asked to show their application on screen on a dashboard sort of wallboard. So we're going to try and create that from scratch. And then finally, the boss has come along and he's asked for an additional piece of data to be added to his executive dashboard in Azure. Okay, without further ado, over to the demo. Okay, so this is SquaredUp for SCOM version 5. We've just upgraded our environment, and you can already see the new colors coming through nice and strong. Out of the box, SquaredUp provides a number of dashboards. So for this example, we've got a knock wallboard. Out of the box, the knock wallboard does a great job of showing you critical information from your SCOM infrastructure. We can see here that our SQL server has gone critical, and we can drill down to see sort of underlying information of that server without having to do any extra work. This is all available out of the box. But our knock wallboard only covers SCOM information. So one of the team have taken that knock wallboard and modified it to start to pull in extra context from other sort of services, other tools, to add a little bit more context around what's going on with our infrastructure. We can see here that we've got some Splunk data coming in showing some log statistics, success versus failure of logins, and also the VPN response time also stored out of Splunk log data. In the middle here, we're putting in some support desk information, so we can see that 21 tickets have been are open today, 19 of them have been closed. And we're also bringing in some outside-in monitoring via Pingdom to show what things are up and down. And then further down the page, putting in some data from Azure DevOps to show us what releases have happened recently, how many days until certain web certificates are expiring. And then over on the right-hand side, we've got our network monitoring information shown as well. So a great dashboard showing lots of data, but I think we can do better with the layout. As I said, team member just threw this together earlier. So I'll go into the dashboard designer and we'll take a look at some of the new functionality that makes it easy to create these dashboards. What you'll first notice along the top is the ability to add rows above and also add rows below the dashboards. So you can quickly and easily insert an extra row at the top if you need to and start configuring your tiles. As I roll over each section here, you'll notice that the outline is showing which area we're about to edit, and there's a plus on either side of those outlines allowing me to add a column to the left or a column to the right. Now I want to move our network monitoring over to the left-hand side, and I can do that with a few clicks. I'll add a column to the left, take the title of the page and drag that over to there. Get rid of the extra tile that was created because I'm not adding any new tiles at the moment. And then I'll take this big panel with all of the network information. And what you'll notice as I drag and drop this around the page is that the tile is turned into a thumbnail, and that makes it easier for me to decide where I'm going to drop the tile. And we can also see the effects it's going to have on the other tiles as I move around the page, making the drag and drop experience much simpler, much easier to deal with. I'm going to take that over there and drop it to there. You'll also notice as I drop that tile, the unnecessary column on the right-hand side has completely disappeared. Okay, so starting to improve a little bit, but it's still a little bit busy in the middle here. So what I think I'm going to do next is actually take these two external data sources and plug them in side by side. We've got a new feature in version 5 where we can split tiles. So I'm going to split this Splunk tile into two. Now I'm going to take the donut for the login status and just move that up below the Splunk logo. And then I'm going to take Pingdom, drag it across to the side. I don't need this empty tile anymore, and bring the Pingdom donut across as well. You can already see we're starting to get a much better layout. One more improvement I think I can make here is the support tickets along the top. We don't need to have pending and closed above and below each other. So again, I can simply split the tile, drag the closed tickets up, get rid of the empty one that I don't need, and we're done. So hopefully that's shown you how quick and easy it is to take our out-of-the-box dashboards and add more content to it, and also give a really good layout. Next step is just to publish that, so it'll be displayed up on our wallboard. And what you'll notice here is a new pop-up dialog where our new open access dashboards are being generated. Now the generation is complete, we'll take a look at open access quickly. So I'm going to open this up in a new window. And as I mentioned, open access is now a sort of fully immersive sort of HTML5 experience. We're no longer generating static images, so users can interact with the whole web page just like they would on a normal dashboard. Meaning that I can now roll over segments, just like you can do in a dashboard, and get to some more interesting information underneath. For example, with this line graph, I can drag my cursor over and see specific numbers on specific data points, which is really useful. Also, because it's an interactive dashboard, I can now drill down from the open access dashboard back into the perspectives underneath. So if this server is still critical, I can click from here. SquaredUp is going to ask me to log in, and straight away I'm into that specific drill down. So now users can drill down from their shared dashboards straight into the perspectives underneath. Okay, go back to there. Okay, so that was a quick look at our mock wallboard use case and editing the existing dashboard. I'm just going to change my settings over to dark mode, and we can see some of the new colors coming through in dark mode a bit better. The next use case was our applications team have come along and said, right, we've got this new application in production and we'd like a dashboard for it, please. They've talked to me about the different types of data they want to show, and I'm going to create them a new dashboard for it. So I'll hit the Create Dashboard button. The first thing you'll notice with our dashboards designer layout is these preset templates. So we can take these templates, and any one that we select, it will automatically be laid out in that specific layout for you. So you'll have all the empty tiles will be set up. And we've designed these based on sort of feedback that we've had from customers and the kind of efforts that our customer success team will go to create specific layouts when asked for. My applications team has sort of given me 3 sets of data that we want to look at. They're going to focus on status and response time in the top. So we'll split that first row into 2. Next down in the list, they want some SLA information, but they don't just want one SLA metric, they want it over a month and over a week. So we'll split that into 2 as well. And then underneath that, they want to show their availability over time. And maybe we'll add a preview of the application in as well, just so they can see that it's live and working. The next piece of information they wanted to show was their application diagram. They have a complex application that's made up of various components. So we'll save that middle section to show an application map from Vader. And then over on the right-hand side, we're going to show them in here some alert information, alerts and errors. So we'll have those 2 up at the top. And then they also want to see the effects that their application is having on sort of customer success and support. So we'll have a tile in the middle here, but we'll not just show them the PagerDuty incidents that they're receiving, we'll also show them the support tickets that are coming in to the support desk. And then down the bottom, we'll show some sort of more DevOps information with all the latest releases they've got. So hopefully there we've demonstrated how quick and easy it is to create a really complicated layout. I think I've probably spent maybe a minute and a half just laying out exactly what we want to see. And of course, as you start to configure the tiles, if the layout isn't looking quite right, we've already seen how easy it is to amend that layout and make further changes. So now let's pretend that we've gone through and configured all of those tiles and see what the result looks like. in a true sort of Blue Peter style. Here's one I prepared earlier. And we've got that status tile coming in at the top here with our outside-in monitoring from Pingdom showing the response time. We've got their SLA from 30 days and the last 7 days showing side by side with availability in the preview underneath. In the middle, we've got the VEDA application map, and this is showing all the intricacies of their application, whether it's the Web3 web servers, the app tier, and then the SQL servers on the side. And on the right-hand side, we've got our application errors coming out of SCOM, the alert information, and then PagerDuty and Zendesk information using our new Web API tiles. Okay, I'm just going to take a quick look at the new Web API tiles now, just to give you a bit of an insight into how those are working. So I'll go back into the dashboard designer. I'm just going to drag this section over so you can see it more clearly for the webinar. We'll take a look at this time series sort of line graph, which is pulling data out of PagerDuty itself. And I'll configure the tile. You'll notice that the first couple of configuration sections are all about where do you want to send the response to? What is your request going to look like? So you'll have the provider set up. You'll configure the endpoints that you're going to call, and then you'll form the sort of request that you're going to send over. So in here, PagerDuty is needing a JSON request, and you can formulate the body of the request into there. Once all of that's configured, you can then review what the response is that's coming back from that API call. If you've made a mistake, you can inspect what the error message is. But if the API query is responding correctly, then you'll see all of the data that's being returned to you. It's a really useful feature for sort of diagnosing and debugging what you're trying to visualize. And the next section of configuration is all about how do you want to display that information. So in the case of a line graph, we want to sort of determine what is the x-axis going to be and what is the y-axis going to be. And also take note of the mustache pickers in here. Mustache pickers will help you pick the right piece of data without you having to sort of know all of the ins and outs of what the API's response is looking like. The mustache picker will make this easier to use. And then after that, you've got some normal tile sort of display settings that you can set, like the height of the tile and the labels and so on. For more information about how to get started with our Web API tiles, our Getting Started page back on the home dashboard has a new section here for how to visualize your external data. And this takes you straight over to our documentation pages. We're in the process of updating these at the moment. So there are new tutorials and guides that will talk you through various different providers and how to use the Web API tile, SQL tile, and so on. So do take a look at our documentation for that as well. Okay, for the last part of the demo, we're going to move over to Azure. Most of our infrastructure is in SCOM, but we're starting to put some workloads into the cloud, into Azure. Before we get into the management dashboard part, I just wanted to show this dashboard that we put together. That really shows the vibrant colors sort of popping out onto the screen. The heat maps are a lot more vibrant now. Instead of going from a color blending over to whites, we're now going from a darker color to a brighter color. So the problem areas really stand out quite nicely. The vibrant colors are showing through here on bar graphs and donuts and the health status as well. And the Azure cost tile is a particular favorite of our management team, where you can start to roll over and see what types of resources are costing the most to run. The visuals for line graphs really pop out nicely. You can now really more easily distinguish different lines from each other when there's a lot of data on the screen. So hopefully everyone agrees these new colors are absolutely fantastic. Now I'm going to move over to the management dashboard. So the boss has come over. He loves his dashboard that he's got. For some reason, he's not that interested in CPU metrics and memory usage and whether the hard disks are full. What he really cares about are the business objectives. Is the application that we're running, is it actually generating some revenue and orders to meet the business goals? So this dashboard here is pulling out some orders from a SQL database and the revenue. We're showing those two values side by side. And then we can also see some trend lines coming out of that SQL database on a product by product basis. So that's a really useful dashboard for them. Different people in the management team care about their different regions. So we're using some outside-in monitoring from Pingdom to determine whether our application is available in all of the key sort of regions around the world. And the management team are really focused on customer success at the moment. Our customer success being overloaded by poor applications that are running. So we've pulled in here the number of sort of critical support desk tickets that they've got and how many incidents are being raised over time. And they also like to be up to date with all of the releases that are going on. So again, we're using Azure DevOps to pull out some information about the latest releases. And they do like this dashboard, but there's one facet of information that's missing. How much is all this stuff costing to run? So I'm going to show you now. It's really quick and easy to add a Azure cost tile straight into this dashboard. I want to show us alongside orders and revenue. So I can quickly add a column next to the revenue information there. Give it a label, configure the tile and choose cost management from Azure. It's just going to be a simple scalar sort of digit number. So we'll choose the scalar tile. And I know that my application for that I want to monitor for cost is in a particular subscription. So I'll choose that subscription. And then last but not least, I'll just format it so that it fits nicely into the page. We don't need to show the decimal places there, so I can use the mustache picker to quickly format that value. And now we've got costs shown alongside the revenue, all of the important factors that the management team care about. Okay, let me go back to the slides. So hopefully there we've given you a quick run through of all of the new functionality in version 5. We've shown you how to quickly modify existing dashboards. We've shown you how to create a brand new dashboard from an empty page using the templating that we've introduced. And we've also shown you how you can start to build useful dashboards that actually meet so to display business objectives rather than just server metrics as well. And also how to build those unified dashboards, which will bring in a lot more context to your SCOM or Azure infrastructure by using the SQL web API tiles and so on. And as of today, we are actually introducing some new licensing options for our SCOM products. SquaredUp for SCOM is now available in 4 different license tiers. SquaredUp for SCOM Essentials and EAM essentially stay the same. So you get the same great SCOM dashboards in Essentials for 3 users or more. It's easy to install, no database, and our great technical support team are there to support you. What we're announcing today is essentially the Teams and Connect license tiers, and we've split Enterprise into these 2 tiers to better reflect some of the use cases that our customers have. The Teams edition will give you everything in Essentials, plus unlimited open access users, team folders, and high availability as well. So as you start to scale up your usage of SquaredUp, Teams is the one you want to go for. When you then want to start adding in external data sources to add more context to your dashboards, then you need to look at the Connect license tier. And this is where you can start to bring in your SQL tiles, web API tiles, ServiceNow, and so on. And as our roadmap develops over the next 12 to 18 months, we'll start to build more native integrations that will be introduced into that Connect tier. And then Enterprise Application Monitoring, the top tier, get all of the features of Connect, plus unlimited sort of application mapping with the Vader discovery tool and your sort of availability and dependency monitoring. Everyone should upgrade to version 5 now to make use of all of the new functionality. The dashboard designer, new open access, all the color schemes are available across all of the tiers, and that is available from today. You can find out more about the licensing on our website, or contact our sales team. We'll be more than happy to help you. So as I mentioned, SquaredUp 5 is available now. Head over to our website and download the release candidate today. We fully support the release candidate in production, and we actually give priority support to any customers who are trying out version 5 early. There are some things to note when you're upgrading to version 5. Obviously, best practice is to try it out in a test or a development environment first. And for this release, because open access has been re-engineered, please plan a little bit of additional time to perform the upgrades of the open access dashboards. The installer process will handle this for you, but it'll take an extra 10, maybe 50 seconds for each open access dashboard to be regenerated. All of the open access dashboard URLs that you've been sharing are retained. They just need to be regenerated as part of the installation process. So plan some additional time for that. And also keep your license key handy. When you complete the upgrade, you'll need to re-enter your license key at the end. We expect full availability to be, general availability to be in the early part of January next year. And one more thing to note is that from version 5, we no longer support Internet Explorer. There are some side effects of this. This does mean that SquaredUp is going to run much more smoothly and give you a bit better performance in all of the other browsers like Edge, Chrome, and Firefox. So we're very sorry about that. And last but not least, we've got some useful resources that you may want to consider as you're starting to explore the web API tiles and some of the new functionality. There will be a series of version 5 feature blogs coming out over the coming weeks. So keep an eye on our website and our blog pages for that. And as I mentioned earlier, also check out the support pages for all of the new documentation and how-to guides on how to get started with the web API tile. So hopefully you all agree this is a really exciting release, and version 5 doesn't stop here. 5.0 is the beginning.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, John. That's brilliant to see, and some wonderful demos. I really loved how you show those features in the context of some really useful use cases as well. It's kind of really nice to see those dashboards. And obviously, the demo gods were sort of looking down and very favourably, or it's just a combination of a steady hand and some great software engineering from the team to mean that you were confident enough to do all those demos live. But fantastic stuff. Really, really good. So good chance to move on to Q&A. We've had some brilliant feedback from everyone online and kind of recognise a lot of the names. So thank you for joining us live, everyone, and for giving us your questions. If you do have more questions, please do pop them in the chat now, and we'll try and cover them off. John, if you can just advance a slide, and we'll have the Q&A in front of us. While John is taking a break as well from all of that talking, I'll just remind everyone about the single pane of glass survey that I mentioned just in the introduction. As John said, this is really just the start of some great new releases coming your way in 2021, really executing on our single pane of glass vision. And you saw there John starting to pull together data into that single dashboard, enriching your SCOM dashboards, but really we're going for a full single pane of glass across every single platform and tool you have. So if you want to let us know what you want from us in 2021 and what a single pane of glass means to you, please do just grab that URL and start taking the survey. It'd be wonderful to hear from you. So John, Q&A, if you're ready. I know the guys online have also answered a couple of these questions, but some really good questions coming in. People are really pleased to see all of those features. I'm going to start with open access actually, because I think that's a really popular feature. Really fantastic to see it interactive. So now really kind of the same look and feel as a sort of a full interactive log-on. We had one question just about the drill downs, just a clarification. So we do now allow those drill downs, so it is interactive, so you can click on and drill down. You do need that user license, right, to be able to then drill down and sort of view the full data.
That's correct, yes. So if you want to build multiple dashboards that you want to share in open access, then there is the open access navigation. But as soon as users start to click to drill down to the perspectives underneath, then yes, it's a login at that point.
Cool, great. And I think actually, you didn't show it, but that dashboard with Vader in the middle, if you run that as open access, Vader now springs to life interactively, even though it's an open access dashboard. So you no longer need a user license in order to share an interactive Vader map out with your users. And same goes with the heat map on the sort of cost dashboard you put together there. You can now roll over that heat map and see individual resources and their costs as an open access dashboard. So if you want to share out cost information with your dev teams or different teams kind of consuming Azure resources, you can do that now with open access. Actually, a question I didn't know the answer to. Go on.
So I was just going to say, yeah, everything you can do when you're logged into SquaredUp on a page, you can now do in the open access dashboard. So all of the
well, it's funny you say that. There was a question I didn't know the answer to. Is the time frame option now sort of live on an open access dashboard? So can you switch time frame on your performance data?
I don't think so, no.
Okay.
But
all right,
tell us in the survey if that's something you want to do. One of the items in the backlog is to look at page timeframes in a bit more detail. So that would be good to get that feedback.
All right, fantastic, and yeah, great question coming in there. Just to talk through some of the dashboards you showed, the first two were really showing SCOM data, and the last one, the Azure data. I think what you touched on, some really nice use cases there of showing, for example, availability KPIs. That was coming from the availability monitoring we have in EAM for SCOM, right? So setting up the availability monitors of your applications. Obviously, with Azure and Azure Monitor, you have App Insights, so you'd probably be looking at doing something similar with App Insights and the availability monitoring there. So it will kind of differ depending on whether you're running on top of SCOM or Azure. But in terms of just building those similar sort of dashboards across both platforms, it will differ depending on whether you're using EAM in SCOM or App Insights in Azure. A quick clarification around the two products. So they you still need to install them separately. So there's you need to download the right version and upgrade the right version. Is that right?
Yes. Yep. So you can upgrade. You can upgrade from version 4.8, but you install the SCOM and the Azure products independently of each other. Yes, that's correct. I did also notice another question about side-by-side installations. Yes, you can do a side-by-side installation. There is no need to. You can do a in-place upgrade from version 4 to version 5 as well. And I think that's slightly different from when we went from version 3 to version 4. You had to do a side-by-side back then for that one. This one doesn't require side-by-side, but so you can, but you can if you want to.
Excellent. Some good questions coming in around integration. So Sherwell was mentioned and SolarWinds was mentioned. That's absolutely great feedback. Please, if you have asked a question about that, do jump onto that single pane of glass survey and sort of put in the integrations you need. So what John showed there is we have we've had the SQL tile for a while with the visualizations there. We now have web API integrations with the visualizations. It does mean you need to understand the REST API and the web API you're integrating with. So there is a bit of work to do there. We have an out-of-the-box integration with ServiceNow, and certainly we're looking at more out-of-the-box integrations with other monitoring tools, but that's exactly what we wanted to hear from you about in our single pane of glass survey. So as we go into 2021, do expect more integrations coming, especially as our bigger picture single pane of glass roadmap. So we would love to hear about the other tools that you would like to see integrations for out of the box.
I spotted a question there about the licensing and when does that come into effect. So the new licensing is available from today. And for customers who are for existing customers, that will come into effect from renewal. So if you've on an enterprise license today, then you can use all of the features of SquaredUp for SCOM on the Connect edition. And then come renewal time, we'll send you out a renewal for the Connect license tier. And if you wish to choose EAM or Teams instead, then talk to us and we'll make that happen for you.
Yeah, and another question there about if you are on EAM, that really you're going to get all of these sort of new features that John's taken us through just as part of your package. If you upgrade, you'll absolutely sort of stay on that same EAM tier and essentially have all features available to you. There are some other questions around upgrading, including side-by-side, migrating to a new server at the same time, and so on. I think probably won't answer those all now that the best opportunity there is to just drop our support team a line, support@squaredup.com, and they'll jump on that straight away and kind of give you the specific kind of instructions you need. And if you, for example, do need any kind of licensing changes to enable, for example, a migration or another scenario, they'll help you out with that as well. So do drop the support team a line if you have any kind of particular upgrade or migration requirements. All right, I think we've covered off most of them. There's some more questions and sort of feedback coming in, some of which I think probably are worth covering off outside of the webinar. But it's fantastic to see so much feedback again. Thank you for all of you joining us live and asking those questions. We do enjoy engaging with you and taking the opportunity to hear your feedback. Okay, anything else, John, you'd like to finish off with?
No, just please fill out the survey, and that will help us sort of shape the roadmap for our future integrations. Lots of good questions in there about native integrations, and that's definitely something we're looking at throughout 2021. So get your input to us via that survey. Thank you.
Fantastic. And again, you just pleased that the demos went well. I know you've been preparing for those for a while. It's the first time actually, John, you've been, I think, live on a webinar doing live demos of SquaredUp. So you had a good starting experience there. So hopefully that's a good sign for the future. But thanks again for taking us through that, John. Thank you to everyone who's joined us. Thanks to the SquaredUp teams who have joined us in the background here, answering off questions as well. Have a great end to 2020. Sort of if you're celebrating, I hope you have a wonderful time, and see you in 2021 as hopefully we're all entering in a year that's going to hold out a lot more kind of promise and hope for all of us across the board. So look forward to seeing you all next year. Thank you everyone for joining us again.